on today's podcast, I want to talk about my experience last weekend. I was sent to the mall by my nutritionist, and she told me that she wanted me to go buy clothes that actually fit me. So we should probably talk about what that means. So in April of 2022, I signed up for a program called Wild Fit, and it taught me a ton of things about nutrition, what the FDA says is food and what isn't food, about what is available to us in the grocery store and what your body can actually handle and process. I have gone on this sort of roller coaster ride since that whole started. Like the food that I used to eat, I'm finding I can't eat anymore. I had this moment where I went out to dinner while I was still in the middle of Wild Fit with my little brother, and I ordered grilled salmon at this restaurant, a local restaurant. And when I got into like eating it, I was like, there's something funky about this. Like, this isn't the way I do salmon. Like, my salmon doesn't really taste like this. I don't know what the problem is. And then it was about 3/4 of the way through the meal, maybe more than that, a couple bites left. I realized they had floured my salmon. And so he and I then went for a walk, and we looked around town a little bit, and then we walked back to his car, and I walked home. And so it was about 2 or 3 hours after I ate, I got into my house, and I was like standing there, and I was like, I am achy and I don't feel well. And all of a sudden I had like this really bad post-nasal drip, and my eyes were watery, and I was like, my face, my nose turned into a faucet. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like, oh my gosh, I must have gotten COVID. So I went and gave myself a nasal swab, COVID negative. And then I called my friend, as much as I can call my friend in Abu Dhabi. And I was like, was she in Abu Dhabi at that point? I called her. I contacted her, however one would contact her at the time. I was like, so this is how I'm feeling. Like, I'm achy, and I know I got floured, and I'm like, my nose, and I'm wheezing, and like, when I can't really sleep very well because it's not okay in my sinuses. And she's like, that's a gluten reaction. And I was like, oh no, now I have a gluten reaction. Which actually is not the worst thing in the world. It's actually been really freeing to find out that my body doesn't like gluten. It's been really freeing to find out how much my body really doesn't like dairy too. Oh, that's been really freeing to find. So by avoiding these things, which you would think by avoiding something you would feel like you're being deprived. No, actually, by avoiding these things, my body feels so good, and I feel so healthy, and I feel so active, and I feel like there's so much energy to be had that I actually don't feel deprived at all. I mean, there are moments where I go out to dinner and they're like, everybody gets to eat the rolls and I don't. That makes me sad. And I went recently to Davio's. I don't know if any of you know what Davio's is, but I went recently to Davio's, and there were popovers. And I didn't eat one of the popovers. So let's talk a little bit about my nutritionist. She's a wild, wacky woman who I completely appreciate. She calls herself the unicorn coach, because in all honesty, we're all magical, and we all have the ability to be magical. We just haven't always all tapped into our magical abilities. And so she actually has said I need to go back to Davio's, and I have a plan to go back at the end of the month. She says I need to go back to Davio's, and I need to eat sorry, my brain turned off there for a second. I need to eat a popover. She's like, you need to go eat a popover. Go eat a popover. Really? I need to go eat a popover? She's like, I'm like, it might really hurt. Like, I could be achy for 2 weeks. She's like, yes, but you're feeling deprived, and you were feeling left out, and you were feeling like you were missing out on something that, you know, other people at the table got to have. So go have a popover. Find out what you're missing. Find out if it's really something you're missing. Go see what happens. Go have an intentional experiment. So I have a friend, and I are going on the end of the month and I'm going to eat a popover, and we'll find out what kind of fun and wacky and maybe even horrible things happen as a result. So why I'm telling you all of this is that I had a moment recently where somebody who is in a position of authority over me stopped me while I was walking somewhere and I kicked my leg in the air and turned around to talk to her. And she was like, what just happened? And I was like, I don't know, I turned around. She's like, no, one, you didn't just turn around, you like threw your leg in the air. And two, your pants kind of fell down and I saw your bum because I was wearing a revealing pair of underwear. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm wearing pants that are way, way too big because I don't want to, because I see money as energy. Money is energy. And I don't want to be putting my money into someplace I don't want to be. So I wasn't buying like an updated uniform scrubs. Like I wasn't. And so she was like, Kim. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I'll do something about it. And so that night I used some Fabletics credits and I updated my pants so that I'm wearing pants that actually fit me opposed to pants that are like really literally falling off. And I also went to the mall on Saturday because I was given the directive to go find clothes that actually fit. Because when you're wearing clothes that fit, your body feels good. And she actually asked me, what are my 2 health fitness goals? Like what number do I want the scale to say? And I was like, I actually don't care about the scale. She was like, what? Most people have like a number in their head. I'm like, yeah, that number is an arbitrary number. Like I really don't care what number the scale says because I understand that like one of the things I talk about in WildFit is that the scale, the guy who runs it is a guy named Eric Edmedes, and he says the scale is like Enron economics because you're dropping fat, which weighs, less than muscle and weighs less than bone density. And when you're eating differently, your body actually gets the nutrients it needs, and your bones become more dense. And I can tell you, I feel sturdier inside my frame. I feel strong and sturdy inside my frame, and my core feels hollow. Like the spot in my belly, the lower belly, right where your orange sacral chakra would be, that always has felt bloated and fat and blah to me, and now it feels like air. It feels like it doesn't even exist. It's like light and bubbly, and I'm not in like the gaseous way, but in the like everything is fine, and I have very little concerns in that area anymore, which is shocking to me because I've always had concerns in that area. Not that you need to know that, but there it is. And so she was like, you need to be wearing clothes that actually fit you. She's like, your body won't release more fat until you have clothes that fit. She said, what are your goals? And I was like, my goals are, again, not the scale, but my goals are, I want to feel good in my body, which I do. And I said, and I want to feel good in my clothes. And I was realizing I don't. I mean, some clothes I do. Some clothes are very fun and I like them a lot. But those are the ones I've recently bought. So she sent me to the mall, and I went to the mall. And I had a not so pleasant bra experience. I'm just going to slam it out there at Nordstrom, which is shocking because normally Nordstrom's the place you go, right? Normally Nordstrom is the place you go. So I went to Nordstrom, and the woman just sort of looked at me and said, well, we'll go down a cup size. And she's like, we'll make you a 34D opposed to a 34 double D. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if it really looks good. But they were bras that I really like, and I know are really comfortable, and I felt pretty good in them. She was like, yeah, go ahead, take those. So I bought like 3 bras. And then I found out something really, really important, and I'm going to blast this right here in my podcast. I was holding the 3 bras that I rocked in with because I wanted bras like them. And so I was like, these are the bras that I have at home that I really, really like. And they were like, okay. And then they brought me those bras, and I brought like smaller sizes in those bras. And the bras that were bigger size that I brought with me, I was like, here, I'm going to give these to you. Can you donate those? And they're like, well, we don't do that here. I'm like, okay. And they said, but they do at Wacoal. And I was like, Wacoal? Okay, let's go to Wacoal. So I went through the mall looking for one of my other favorite clothing store brands. And as I was going there, I bumped into Wacoal. I wasn't expecting to, but I did. I was like, whoa, there's Wacoal. So I went in. In fact, it was in the space that used to be my favorite tea shop. And I'm like, wow, my favorite tea shop has been taken over by a bra store, which I have to say has become my favorite bra store. So not only did they were like, well, we don't really have the drive going on right now. We're not really accepting these bras. We're not really like doing the official drive, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And they were like, but we'll take them. really? And she's like, yeah, we'll take them. We'll take them and we'll like hold on to them and we'll put them out in the like thingy when the time comes, and it's fine. Just donate them now and we'll take them. She's like, we normally have our bra drive in the fall, but by all means, give them to her now. And I'm like, okay. So I gave her the 3 bras. And then while I was in there, I bought some underwear and I bought some other things and like, you know, buying things. And so while I was checking out, there was this like really great cherry red, shiny, satiny bra on the shelf. And I was like, ooh, I really like that. And it was the sale. I'm like, ooh. So I went over and they didn't have the 34D. And I was like, bummer. But there were other bras on there that I liked. And she said, let me do a fitting on you. And I was like, okay, we can do a fitting. And she came in with her tape measure and she pulled it out and she wrapped it around me. And then she like looked at my cup and she like measured around my boobs and she measured around my thing. And she goes, you are not a 34D. I'm like, I'm not? She goes, no, you're a 32 double D. I was like, I'm a 32 double D? I'm like, well, okay. She goes, yeah, you're not a 34, you're a 32. I was like, I'm a 32. And like, that took a moment to sink in. And then, so she brought me in a whole bunch of bras, which I tried them all on. And I have to tell you, I don't know how many of you listening are a bra person, but I have to say, every time I've gone to try on bras, most of the time I walk away feeling like my body is dumb, that my body is flawed, that I am an imperfect human being, and that no shape is proper, because sometimes I put on like a bra that they say would fit and like the cups are too large, or I'd put on a bra that was like, you know, the cups were the right size, but the band didn't fit right and it didn't look right, or it didn't like hug my body the way one wants a bra to hug your body and make your boobs look like they make them look too pointed. And there were some, at one point, the woman at Wacoal brought in a bra that like was something about the cup size was too big. I forget what she was going for. And she brought it in and I think it was maybe a triple D. And I was laughing and I was like, I could fit a pair of socks in here. I'm like, I could stick a pair of socks inside this bra with me. She laughed and she's like, okay, so all right, we'll just size for the smaller size boob, not the bigger size boob. Because every woman, just so you know, has one boob that's slightly bigger or smaller than the other. Like that's a fact. Fact right there. So she brings out in all of these bras and I try on a whole bunch of bras and I walk away with, I don't know, 4 or 5 bras. I think I walk away with 5 bras. I walk away with 5 bras, like 3 pairs of underwear and, you know, all these things. And she checks me out and it costs, for 5 bras, it costs maybe $70 more, which is the equivalent of 1 bra. From the 3 bras I bought at the other store. So I leave the store wearing the bra that I really like from Wacoal and I go back to Nordstrom and they do take the returns. And then they told me while I was in Wacoal that the other store I wanted to go to had closed because of the way that the lease had happened and like somebody wanted to move into their space and blah, blah, blah. And then they would be moved to a place that didn't have as much foot traffic in the mall, blah, blah, blah. And so they decided not to renew their lease and they left them all altogether. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to the store. And actually there's one in the town I live in, so I'll just go there. Fine. So I leave the mall and I come home, I eat lunch, and then I go over to my store in town. And I walk in and I pick out the things I want. And I know exactly what I want. I want the same clothes I'm currently wearing, just in a smaller size. So I go and I put on a pair of size small leggings. Now, can I tell you, back in April of 2022, I was in size large leggings. And I put on a pair of size small leggings. And I'm wearing a 32 double D. And I'm wearing size small to extra small shirts and dresses. And I'm wearing size small and extra small, like, bathing suits. I don't know when this exactly happened because I have been a medium/large most of my life and now I'm in smalls. But I'm also eating in such a way that my body is able to get the nutrients it needs from the food that it's having. And it's able to process that food properly. And I'm finding I don't need as much food because the food I'm giving is giving my body what it needs. There was a moment there where I needed a lot of food right when I started WildFit. I was eating a lot of food, and part of that was because my body was like, oh, you're giving us nutrients? Can you please keep giving us nutrients? This is really great. So I also want to say the scale says I'm 141 pounds. I'm 141 pounds on the scale. That's the last time I checked on the scale. I'll be honest. That was like 2 weeks ago. This is something else my nutritionist and I are going through. Do I continue with this scale thing, right? Like the scale, I stepped on the scale and I was like doing really well and I felt like my clothes were getting really small and I was doing things really well. But the scale says I'm not moving. Like I just weigh 141 pounds. Like that's just it. I'm sorry to tell you. I weigh 141 pounds. And when I tell people I weigh 141 pounds, they look at me like I'm crazy. And they're like, there's no way you weigh 141 pounds. They're like, you look like you weigh between 105 and 115. Like there's no way you weigh 141. And I'm like, no, I weigh 141. And part of that is because my bones have like gotten stronger and and I think that there's more muscle. My muscles have become healthier and I'm overall much healthier individual. And so like what's going on the inside and weight wise isn't necessarily reflective of what's happening on the outside with, you know, the size. I'm small. I'm a small. I am small and I wear smalls. Like this is weird for me. And I'm having a bit of an identity shift. Like when you go to a store and they say, what size are you? And I go, I want to say a medium because that's what I've been. I'm a medium. I've been a medium for a while. Yes, I was in large leggings in April, but I was in medium-sized pants. My tops have been mediums. Like I think the top I'm wearing right now is a medium. I'm a medium, but I'm not. I'm a small. And sometimes I'm an extra small, depending on the outfit and the shirt. Like when I was in the store on Saturday that was in my town, we were discussing what top to buy. And they were like, oh, you're going to need a small top. And I was like, I think I have the smalls at home and I'm swimming in them. And so I came home and I was swimming in them. So I bought the extra smalls. And then the smalls arrived and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to need the extra smalls. But they're coming. And I'll compare the two, and I might be a small in the shirt or an extra small because it depends on the cut and it depends on the way the shirt fits. And it's not like guys' pants, right? Guys are like, I am like a 36, 32. And like, I'm a 36, 32. And you're just a 36, 32. And that's just what you are. You're a 36, 32. And you go to any store and a 36, 32 is a 36, 32 because it's based on inches. This whole like large, medium, small thing is dumb because it changes all the time. And a size 6 is not always a size 6. It could be a 6, you could be an 8. If it comes from another country, your size, you might be a size 14 when really you're a size 6. It's all screwy. So, this is me on my soapbox. This is all to say that I started WildFit with 2 intentions. I started with one of them was like to be healthier and to make good decisions and like, to learn. But really, honestly, the reason I'm starting WildFit when it all comes down is I had bought this dress that I absolutely adored. I adored it. It was great. It was lovely. It was berry colored and it was satin and it's a great dress. It's a great dress. And I bought it with when I bought it, I bought it in the store and I walked around in it and I felt really pretty in it. And I bought it. And then I brought it home and I put the right undergarment underneath it to suck everything in, right? And I was a sausage. Inside this dress, I was a sausage. And I was like, I don't like the way I look in this dress at all. I don't. And that is when I signed up with WildFit because I wanted to look lovely. And I didn't feel like I was looking lovely. I felt like I was looking like a sausage. And now I don't look like a sausage at all. And the dress, that berry dress, it still fits a bit. I took it to the tailor and he's like, I'm not taking it in on you. Like, I'm not taking it in. I'm like, okay. Now, for those of you who are listening and you're like, I can't believe like she's complaining about being from a large to a small. I'm not complaining. I'm stating that it's an identity shift. When you change how you look and you change how you feel on the inside, who you are is different. It's just a different thing. And that takes some time to like wrap your brain around. It's not a bad thing. It's just an adjustment. That's what it is. It's an adjustment. I intended to be smaller. That was my intention when I did this. And I walked around knowing, envisioning me as smaller. I don't think I quite envisioned me being a 32 double D and a small, or, you know, small pants, small tops. I don't think I quite envisioned that small, but I definitely envisioned healthy and inside my skin in a way that feels really good. And those are my two goals. I want to be inside my clothes in a way that feels really good, and I want to be inside my skin, inside my body that feels really good. Those are the two things I want. And I don't really give a damn if the scale says I'm 141. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to grouse about it and be like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And so I'm just not going to look at the scale. I'm going to separate. I'm going to have an official separation. I might even have, I'm not going to have a separation party, but like I'm not quite going to divorce my scale, because if I divorced my scale, I couldn't ever figure out where my body fat index, calculator body fat percentage. That's what it is. Body fat percentage. And I kind of want to know that, because that number also tells me like about visceral fat and fat on the inside that's not healthy for my organs. And so I'm just sort of, you know, doing my thing and thinking about how I want to go forward from here, which is just, I want to continue eating healthy. So this week we're fat burning, and this weekend we're going to be sugar burning, which means I get to put honey in my steamers. I'm so excited. So my cashew coconut milk will have honey in it, which will be super yummy. And I might like make some sweet potatoes and put some maple syrup in them, because we're sugar eating this weekend. And then it'll be fine when I go back on Monday and not sugar eat. And I'm back to not eating sugar, and I'm back to fat burning. It's just a balance. And I am where I am, and envisioning myself as a healthy person. That was my goal, visioning myself as a healthy person. And it's funny because people around me think of me as healthy. They're like, oh, I have these, like step in the doorway and they're like, I have cookies. And they look at me and they're like, oh, Kim, you're never gonna eat these cookies. I'm like, no, I'm never gonna eat those cookies. But I will tell you, I have some gluten-free cookies sitting on top of my refrigerator right now that I made last time I was sugar burning, that have maple syrup in them, and the chocolate chips are made from HU chocolate, and they're made with date sugar. So I'm just going to throw this out there too. I learned in the past month, 2 months, I think it was in March. Nope. April. It was April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd, somewhere in there. It's a little bit longer than a month and a half ago. I learned that American sugar causes me panic attacks. Excellent. It's not really what I want, but it's what happens. I had a large amount of sugar in a dessert that was made, and I took some home and I ate it for dinner, and unabashedly ate it for dinner. Yum, 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 yum. And then 3 days later, I felt disassociated. And then that night, I had a panic attack. And I haven't had a panic attack in a very while. And so I met with my nutritionist, and she said that sugar can cause panic attacks. And I said, but I was in Abu Dhabi. And when I was in Abu Dhabi, I ate a crap ton of sugar, and I didn't have any reaction. And she said, right, because that's Abu Dhabi sugar versus American sugar, and there's a difference. So I try hard to make sure I'm having natural sugars, honeys and syrup, like maple syrup. Or if something's cooked with like sugar that I make myself, I'll use coconut sugar, or I'll use date sugar, but I won't use like white or turbinado American sugar for that. And I'll read a label, and if there's cane sugar in it, I won't buy it. I just won't. Even if it's gluten-free, if there's cane sugar in it, it is contaminated in my eyes. So it makes me that person. I've become that person. And I'm relatively okay with that. And this is the journey I've been on for the past year now. It's over a year. It's about a year and a month actually since I started Wild Fit. And I have learned so much about my body, how my body reacts to food, what is food, how my body reacts to something that's not food. My body lets me know when I've eaten something that it doesn't like. And I'm like, okay, good to know. We will not give that to you again because you don't like it. And I've found some hacks and some tricks and some ways to get around the problem. And I've also had food delivered in that's cooked in a way that's safe for my eating styles. And I know that I'm not going to be sugared by mistake, or I know I'm not going to be glutened by mistake. And they follow my eating, my preferred eating. And when I want to bring in sugar, I bring in sugar myself. I will say it is a bit of a challenge when I go to a restaurant. And I will say it is a bit of a challenge for my waiter and waitress when I want to rearrange the entire menu. I'm sure the chefs love me, but I want to be healthy. And I have at times been served food that doesn't, like the salmon I told you about earlier, or I'll go in and I'll order something and it'll be like, they'll give me dairy on my, like they'll butter my broccoli, and then I'll eat it, and then I'll come home and I'll get like allergy symptoms. I haven't had allergies since I started Wild Fit. My nose allergies, the itchy eyes, the wanting to stick my fingers in my eyeballs and scratch from the inside because my allergies were so bad. I haven't had that since I started Wild Fit. My allergy symptoms have basically gone away, but when I have dairy, my allergy symptoms flare a little because my body can't handle all of the irritants. And I'm working on accepting myself in my new definitions and in what is clearly clear in front of me, and that is I am now a small. Like, I have to accept this. I am not a medium, and there's like a weird brain shift that is happening here, which you wouldn't necessarily think, but yes, like I have a perception of small people. I do. I mean, we all have like our things, right? And I have to realize that it's all just a part of the process, and my accepting where I am. I'm trying to pull this together in my thoughts. I'm sorry. My accepting where I am means accepting, well, I'm working on becoming a new version of me all the time, right? Like, so I'm just pressing into the newest version, the most updated, the Kim Beam 7.9 version. I have no idea how many versions of me there have been, right? But as a random number, right? I've just had another upgrade, which if you're saying I've lost weight, maybe it's a downgrade, but no, it's an upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade because I've learned so much in this process, and I have become a completely different person in this process. And I'm so grateful for having had all of the experiences that have led me to this moment, so that I can be, in this moment, the best version of me. Apparently, it's a smaller version of me, too. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you soon.